I've been making a lot of Trader Joe's haul and review videos in this channel. As you can see, we love Trader Joe's even though there's always a lot of traffic there, but they always have some quirky items or new items and seasonal items to try. So we would love to go like almost every single weekend just to find something new to try. So in today's video, I want to share some of the must-try Asian food items from Trader Joe's that we've been loving for the past year. Before we start, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's dive into today's list. The first food item is the Trader Ming's Cha Siu Bao Chinese style pork buns. Okay, so I don't just like this item because it has my name on it, but I love the fact that my name is actually on the brand. So Trader Joe's actually has like several different series, like from different cultures. I think one of their Asian food items or one of their Chinese food series is from this Trader Ming's brand. So this is the Cha Siu Bao. What Cha Siu is that it is basically Chinese barbecue pork. It's savory and slightly sweetened. Okay, so it's actually pretty sweet. So it's basically bao buns with Chinese barbecue pork in the middle. It comes in a pack of 4, and I love the fact that it actually has a parchment paper underneath, because sometimes when you steam those buns, they get sticky to your steamer. The buns are super easy to make. I highly recommend you to use a steamer instead of microwave. And I really like the breading. The breading themselves are so soft and slightly sweetened. It has some flavor on its own. And the fillings are just so good. The bread to meat ratio is just perfect. You can see huge chunks of the Chinese barbecue pork inside of the buns, and you can also see some smaller flakes of diced pork in there. And the pork filling is very saucy as well, so it's not dry at all. It has sauce and the pork and the Chinese barbecue pork chunks, and the sauce just get into the bread. It's just so good. Together, it's a lot of flavor, a lot of texture. It's savory but also sweet, and the breading, the buns are so soft, and it's just very spongy. I really like this item. I think it's probably one of my favorite items from this whole list because it actually tastes very similar to the real thing that you get from the restaurants. And to be honest, I have to admit that these Cha Siu Baos are better than the ones that I make personally at home. For some reason, I just couldn't get the bao buns, the texture or the sweetness as the best ratio. So I highly recommend this item. The next item on the list is the Trader Joe's steamed chicken soup dumplings. Soup dumplings are a special type of bao buns in the sense that if you look at the breading, it's very thin, and the filling itself is also different. Not only does it have meat and some veggies, but also soup inside. Okay, you may think this is crazy, but in China, or if you go to Din Tai Fung in the United States, you can actually get super fresh soup dumplings, but sometimes it's just a little bit harder because there's no Din Tai Fung here, and a lot of the Chinese restaurants that claim to have soup dumplings, there's no real soup in there. So when I first bought this item, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, this is frozen food. Is there real soup in the dumplings? Man, I was so surprised. It was so good. There's a lot of meat juice and the soup inside of the dumplings. So how they do it is that they make the soup using the meat juice, and then they freeze it into little soup chunks, and then they just put it into the buns, and as you steam it, the soup chunk will just melt, and when you bite into it, it's just a soup just splurge out. It's just so good. Be careful because when it's super hot, you definitely can get burned. And another thing is this item, usually we use the spoons to eat it instead of chopsticks. Usually we just take a little bite and then put a little bit of vinegar inside of the soup dumpling, and then take the whole dumpling inside of our mouth using a spoon because there is some soup in the middle, and by using chopsticks you can potentially break it and lose the soup inside. So the chicken dumplings are a little bit healthier, and also if you have food restrictions that you don't eat pork, they're great options. But if you want the real fatty ones, those are the steamed pork and ginger soup dumplings. This item is so good because pork is usually fattier than chicken, and there's also ginger inside of the dumplings to balance out the pork scent, because pork meat has certain smell that some people don't like, but by adding ginger or certain garlic, it kind of just counteract the pork smell. I would say the pork dumplings are a little bit more flavorful than the chicken dumplings, but I want to say the soup flavor inside of both dumplings are fairly comparable. I think they pretty much inject the similar soup chunks inside of the pork and the chicken soup dumplings. It is so good. As you bite into the dumplings, the soup just gurk out, and I really like that ginger flavor, to be honest, because there are a lot of pork dumplings in the market, but a lot of them don't have enough ginger, so pork sometimes could be a little bit heavy, but by having the ginger and the fat inside of the pork just like get into the actual like wrap of the dumplings, it's just so good. But like I said, if you're eating these dumplings, maybe not use chopsticks, because I accidentally punched a hole and then oh no, I'm losing a lot of the soup. But it is so good. There's a lot of meat inside of dumplings that wrap it really thin. Overall, this item is very authentic, and I've been buying this religiously, especially as like an appetizer or sometimes as breakfast. The next must-try, or the most highly rated item from Trader Joe's, is the Trader Ming's Mandarin Orange Chicken. So we bought this item because we saw it on Phone Brothers channel, and my husband was so intrigued because apparently this Mandarin Orange Chicken was rated as the best Asian food in the frozen aisle at Trader Joe's. So of course we have to try it. So inside of this package, you get these orange chicken chunks, and also we get the orange chicken sauce. It says there are different ways of cooking it. Back in the days when we cooked this item, we didn't have an air fryer, but now I bet that you can actually use air fryer to make the best texture of the chicken. So on the package, it says you could either use an oven or use a stove top to first cook the chicken and then stir fry the chicken with the sauce, and then there you go, that's your orange chicken. So when we tried both the stove top and the oven method was so much better because the orange chicken gets crispy, because as you can see, these are pre-fried orange chicken. And honestly, I used to work at a Chinese restaurant, and they have like, this is just the same as the orange chicken that they make at the restaurant. So I want to say the chicken itself is pretty authentic, and the sauce itself is pretty good as well. I know not everyone is a big fan of this flavor because it's a ton of sugar, but if you use air fryer or the oven to make that crispy, to bring out that crispy texture of the chicken, and after you make it with the sauce, it's just so good. I would say this item is really good. It's worth trying, but this is definitely not healthy since there's a ton of sugar in the sauce and the chicken was pre-fried as well. But overall, this item deserves to be highly rated at Trader Joe's. It's definitely like one of the best treats that you can get for yourself. And also my friend Inky, who works at the Trader Joe's, also said that like every time they stock this item up, like before they even stock it, people are grabbing them from the box because it's just so popular. So if you decided to try out this item, I highly recommend you to cook the chicken in the air fryer or the oven and then use the stovetop to mix the chicken. And it would just give you the best texture and the flavor. Another two dumpling items at Trader Joe's. Don't worry, we also have fried rice at towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. So these are the Trader Joe's chicken shumai and pork shumai. What are shumai? What are the difference between the shumai dumplings to the bao dumplings to Cha Siu Bao dumplings to the regular dumplings to the pot stickers? Okay, so the wrappers are a little bit different, and also the ratio between the wrap and the meat are a little bit different. So there are two types of shumai items at Trader Joe's, either chicken or pork. You can decide which one you wanted to try. I know a lot of my friends, they don't eat pork, so chicken is definitely a great substitute if you want to try out some of the Asian food items at Trader Joe's. So I actually made a dedicated video comparing these two items. I first tried the Trader Joe's pork shumai. The pork shumai are pretty big. These are regular shumai sizes, maybe slightly smaller than some of the dim sum restaurants, and they smell pretty good. These taste pretty similar to the dim sum restaurants, except for the fact that I believe at the regular dim sum restaurants, the shumais are a little bit sweeter, and the sauce has a little bit more like oyster sauce or like more sweetness and like soy sauce in the filling, versus this one, it's a little bit towards more the plain side. You can definitely taste the ingredients. There's ginger, there's a little bit garlic, there's a little bit like scallion inside of the fillings, and there's a big chunk of meat inside the filling. So I actually really like the pork chumai. It is somewhat different from some of the Cantonese restaurant, but overall it's still pretty authentic, and I do really like the flavor. And sometimes it's actually pretty good to taste the ingredients instead of the sauce. And you can always make some sauce on your own, like either oyster sauce, soy sauce, vinegar, and things like that. However, this item does not come with a sauce. Surprisingly, the chicken siumai is a little bit different. The chicken siumai actually comes with the sauce. I would say for a very good reason. So if you look at the chicken siumais, they actually look slightly different from the pork siumai. They are, I wouldn't say way smaller, but definitely smaller than the pork siumai. But you do get more dumplings. I guess it's like similar weight. So chicken siumai is a little bit, I would say a little bit healthier, because if you look at the nutrition facts, it's less fatty, there's less fat, and it comes with the sauce. So this chicken siumai kind of tastes like the chicken sausage. It doesn't taste like the chicken dumplings that I usually get from the Chinese restaurants. Usually, like in the restaurants, we get pork, but there's definitely chicken options and beef options for different items, or shrimp items as well. But the chicken ones, it tastes pretty lean, and there's like this sausage texture towards the filling. So I feel like I was eating chicken sausage with dumpling wraps. It's not bad, but it's just like a little bit different than the traditional siumai dumplings. The chicken one, it's not as flavorful as the pork ones, and I think that's why you kind of needed a sauce to enhance the flavor. But with the sauce, I would say it actually tastes pretty okay. It's not bad at all. It depends on your personal preference. Some people may find the pork siumai a little bit too fatty, a little bit too greasy, but the chicken one's definitely not greasy at all, and you can definitely enhance the flavor by adding more sauce. So overall, I do recommend this item. I think it's a great replacement of the pork siumai, and overall, I think this item tastes pretty good. It's pretty similar to the authentic siumai with a little bit of difference. I guess it's not as strong of a flavor compared to the Chinese restaurants. We're moving on to a Korean food item. This is the Trader Joe's Scallion pancakes. So I would say that different cultures have their own scallion pancakes. So this one is the Korean style. It's definitely a little bit different from the Chinese style. And this is also like on the title, it says Pajeon. I kind of wish that they put like Korean style scallion pancakes. So like if you don't know what to expect, you can kind of compare this to the Korean restaurants. So the pancakes themselves are really thin. We initially made the mistake of putting a lot of oil in the pan because we were worried that it would get stuck, but it actually has a ton of fat inside of the pancakes, so you actually don't need any oil, or if any, just put some cooking. The pancakes are in the size of regular pancakes, which is very interesting because sometimes in the restaurant they give you bigger ones. So like right here, if you look at the screen, we put too much oil. So just don't make the mistakes that we did, because it came out pretty greasy, and we tried another pancake without the oil. It actually turned out pretty well. I love the texture of this pancake. Sometimes you can make the edges a little bit crispy, but inside it's kind of soft. It's made with eggs, and it has a ton of scallions and some carrots, so it has a ton of flavor from the vegetables. And I know at the Korean restaurant they also have the seafood pancakes. I wish Trader Joe's have it, but you can definitely change it by adding a little bit of seafood on top or putting something on top to eat it. But overall, that scallion aroma is just so amazing, and the texture of the pancakes are really good. So this is a savory item, by the way. It's not the same as like the traditional Western pancakes where you put strawberries and cream on top, but sometimes we'll put seafood and other things. Overall, there's a ton of oil in there, so be a little bit careful. I highly recommend to put a kitchen towel underneath, like if you accidentally put too much oil, to prevent the sticking. And if you have a non-stick pan, you don't need to put any oil. You can just put the pancake there, and it actually tastes super good. Overall, I highly recommend this item. It's really good as an appetizer, and it's also really good for breakfast. Moving on for some fried rice items. I love eating fried rice. Well, previously I did some continuous glucose monitoring. So rice actually is like a high GI item. So if you like fried rice, maybe eat it as a side, you know, some health check. So this one is the Trader Joe's Thai shrimp fried rice, and this is the spicy Thai shrimp fried rice. And if you forgot to read that spicy label, it's actually pretty spicy. So if you don't eat spicy food, this may not be the item for you. When you first get the item out of the box, I highly recommend you to put the whole content in a bowl, because the shrimps are actually in a separate bag. You want to cook the shrimp first, and make sure you cook the shrimp thoroughly first, and then add in the rice together and stir fry it. I think the shrimps are in the pretty big sizes. They could probably add a little bit more shrimps, but I understand, you know, the brand, they need to make some money off the profit while keeping this item affordable. So I understand, but I do appreciate that the shrimps are whole shrimps, not just the shrimp chunk. But comment down below, do you prefer the shrimps to be in the whole shrimp status, or do you prefer the brand actually chopped up the shrimp so that each bite has a little bit of shrimp meat in there? So comment down below which one you prefer. So after you cook the shrimp, you add in the rice, and there are some vegetables in the rice. It's mainly the scallion, a little bit of peas, like, you know, things that you usually find in the fried rice. Overall, this item is pretty spicy. I would say like it's probably on a scale 1 to 5, it's probably spicy level 2.5 to 3. It has a ton of heat to it. I really like that Thai flavor, and the rice has great texture, and it also has basil in there. Definitely just add up the heat, and overall this item is really good. If you like shrimp fried rice and also love Thai flavor and love that basil and a little bit of heat, this item is for you. It's definitely one of the better fried rice items that we got from Trader Joe's and even in Costco as well. I love Asian food from different Asian cultures. That Thai shrimp fried rice was amazing, but so was this Korean-inspired bulgogi beef fried rice with kimchi. Okay, so this one is also another spicy fried rice item. It has a little bit of heat to it, because usually, like, you know, kimchi, it can be a little bit spicy, so was the bulgogi beef. And I do want to caution you, like, before you purchase this item, do read the nutrition label. It has a ton of sodium. I love the flavor. As you know, I love bulgogi beef, and there's some bulgogi beef in here, and the rice is in a great texture, and you don't have to worry about like separating the beef and the rice. You just, you know, fry them together, and the rice are like, you know, piece to piece. It's really easy to make it. And it tastes a little bit sweet. It has a little bit of heat, and also a lot of the Korean kimchi flavor and the bulgogi beef flavor. Overall, this item is super good, except for the fact that it's quite salty. So I do want to say, if you don't like things that are too salty, you can definitely add a little bit more vegetables to dilute it, so you're not eating like a dense fried rice. You're eating fried rice on top of like maybe some broccoli, some carrots, some mushrooms, like, you know, whatever you want to put in there. So what you do is you can stir fry some vegetables first, and then put in this item, and then put them together. Overall, it's a really good item, really good flavor, but definitely really high in carbs, really high in sodium. I do recommend you to change it up a little bit and not just eat it as it is. And don't eat the whole bag on your own, because like it's super high in whole sodium. Alright, we have shared a lot of meat items in this haul. The last item is actually vegan. This is the Trader Joe's Japanese style fried rice with edamame, tofu, and some seaweed. So this item is actually vegan, and I love the vegan food in Trader Joe's, because I love the fact that Trader Joe's has something for everyone. They have keto items, vegan items. I have a lot of friends who have food restrictions and stuff, so I like how they label it very clearly. So when you go on vegan diet, you don't have to look carefully. You can just see, oh, this one is vegan, this one is keto. This is one of the few items that when you make it, it actually looks like the picture on the bag. You know, sometimes you buy something because the pictures look amazing, and then you open it and it looks different. But this one, look at how pretty it looks. The seaweed, edamame, and the very small tofu. Like the tofu chunks are very small. That'll be my only complaint, because like sometimes when I eat those vegan meals, it's or like just fried rice in general, I feel like I don't get enough nutrients. It's mainly carbs. So I would love to see some more vegetables and protein content in the fried rice so I can eat a balanced meal, so I don't have to find some extra vegetables and protein on the side. But overall, this item is really good. The rice is in great texture. Like when you bite into it, like each piece of rice is just separated. It's so good, and I do like the edamame and the carrots and the seaweed add a lot of flavor. This truly tastes like the Japanese style. And also, if you look at the ingredient list, it also has like some Japanese alcohol, which is called like sake. I don't drink alcohol at all, so I can't pronounce any of the alcohol correctly. So, but when you were making it, like the alcohol content will just evaporate, but the whole kitchen will just smell so good. The aroma is just amazing. I wish there are more tofu chunks or bigger tofu chunks, but overall this is one of the best fried rice that I have tried from Trader Joe's. Even though it's vegan, my husband loves it too, but he usually puts some meat on the side or put some meat, like stir fry it together. Alright, that's it for today's video. I hope this list gives you a good idea of what Asian food item that you may try next time when you're in Trader Joe's. These are the previous videos of reviews that we did in the past year, and in the new year of 2022, we are so excited to try out more items from Trader Joe's. So hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, stay tuned, and give us any recommendations that things you want us to try and review. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!